If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.
Yeah, thank you. So I think this is our 13th Clubhouse meeting since we started 2 months ago. So right now we have around 420 plus members in the Clubhouse. So thanks for your support. So today we are going to discuss about observability. Let us observe. So this is the topic. So before we get into the topic, I would like to share a few updates. So one is yesterday the new book has been released. I don't know how many of you seen this. Hitchhiking Guide to Load Testing Projects. So this book is written by Senior Performo. This is the handle he will use in the online. So the author name is Leandro Melendez. So he's the author. So he has published a book called The Hitchhiking Guide to Load Testing Projects. So this book is available in Kindle and also you can order in paperback. I think it is $15 for the hard copy, and for Kindle Unlimited, I think it is, I don't know, if you have membership, it is free. I'm not sure about the pricing in India, so you need to check the Amazon website. So this book is from Perf Bytes publisher, so Perf Bytes Press. So I know many of you know, right, Mark Tomlinson and James Pulley. So these are some industry leaders. They formed this publication and they released their first book called Hitchhiking Guide to Load Testing Projects. So this is not a sponsor. I'm just happened to read this book yesterday. So it is very good. Almost completed 50%. So it is for everyone, even for basics, beginners, even if you have a 5 years experience or 10 years experience, right? It is for everybody. I think it is one of the must-read book for the performance testers. So if you get a chance, please check it out. I will be posting my review today. So I'm halfway through, and today I will be completing the rest of the book, and then I will post the my review about this book. So this is one update, and another update is next month, Redline 13 is conducting a conference, online conference. It is called loadtestworld.com. So if you go to loadtestworld.com, you can see the schedule. So there are many speakers speaking about various topics. So I'm also speaking about JMeter and the GitHub action. So how you can leverage the GitHub action for JMeter. So this is my topic. So please check it out and register. We can you can see. Excuse me. It is free and you can register and then you can view it online. So these are the two updates I would like to share before we start into the topic. So those who are new, please raise your hand. I can admit to the stage. Okay, how many of you use observability tool in your current project? Actually, you may not know whether it is observability or not, right? But usually nowadays all APM tools are observability. So I guess you will be using any one of the observability tool in the industry. So anybody is using very specific to this use case observability? Sudhakar or someone? Dynatrace, New Relic, anything. Nowadays everything is observability. Hi Arun, thanks for joining.
Yes, Naveen, I'm using the tool.
Which one? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm using Dynatrace.
Dynatrace, okay. Dynatrace, okay. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Hi Archon, thanks for joining.
Hey Naveen, thank you for putting me up. So yeah, we are using currently Datadog.
Datadog. Okay. Cool. That is awesome. Okay. So before we start seeing about observability, the term, right? We are going to time travel. Okay. How this term has evolved from past many years. So first thing is, it is not a new term. It has been there for many decades. So the first term, this term has appeared in the control theory and mechanical engineering. So this is the field the term appeared in 1960s. So in mechanical engineering, or if you are a control system engineer, definitely you know this term. So the definition goes like this. How well you can understand the inner workings of a system simply by observing it from the outside. So this is the official definition of observability from mechanical engineering perspective. So the same thing, we are going to apply it in our cloud native environment. So how well you can understand your system by simply observing it from the outside. So this term has come into light because of Twitter. So Twitter in 2013, they moved from monolith to microservice architecture. So at the time, people may not know it is a microservice, but the architecture is microservices. So that is why the term started evaluating after Twitter's this. There's a blog post is there in the Twitter blog. You can check it out. How they moved from monolithic to distributed architecture and what issues they have faced and how they started monitoring the whole system. So in 2013, I guess that is where the evolution begins in terms of observability. So anybody worked for Twitter or any other companies, like any product-based companies in our group? Anyone? Because I want to hear from product engineering perspective. Okay, how you guys are monitoring the systems. Many of us is working for service-based company, I know, but I would like to see if someone is working for the product-based companies.
Yeah, so currently I'm working for a product-based company. So previously we used to use, we still use like for business and product, those people, they generally use open source tools like Grafana and those type of dashboards. And for us, where we are doing profiling and everything, previously we used to use New Relic, but since this year, we have switched on to Datadogs because we find a lot more cloud integrations with Datadog, and for profiling purposes, it is much more handy than New Relic. And for basic, when we are doing the testing and all those type of profiling stuff, we are using JConsole or JProfiler for that as well.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Thanks, Archana, for sharing your inputs. So, why you asked this, right? Before 2014 or 2013, whenever you visit Dynatrace website or a New Relic website or Splunk, right, they will advertise as a APM vendor. So I know how many of you noticed this back in around 7 or 8 years ago. Whatever website you visit, they just mention, okay, APM leader or APM vendor. But this term has changed again in 2015, 2016, right? Everybody started talking about observability because of the evolution of the microservice architecture, and there are a lot of problems you will face when it comes to monitoring in the cloud native environment. So this term picked up by all the APM vendors, and they started heavily advertising on the observability platform. So nowadays, if you visit the Dynatrace or New Relic or Splunk, any website, any vendor, they always say, okay, observability platform, leader in one of the observability. So this is what they started advertising. So this term has evolved from monitoring to observability. So from APM to observability. So what is the difference? So why can't we debug issues just by monitoring, or do we need to have only the observability? So there are core differences. Main thing is, if you put more effort into monitoring, then you are started observing your systems. So this is one of the definition I can say. So it is like a subset, monitoring is a subset, and observability is a superset. So monitoring means, for example, say you want to monitor a CPU, right? So CPU will monitor, and if it goes beyond 80%, then you say, okay, something is going on bad. Or if the memory utilization is 80% more, then again, the system will crash. So just by seeing some charts or graphs, we can say, okay, something is bad is going to happen, or something bad has happened already, then we need to debug. So this holds good for monolithic architecture or some system, right? If you want to monitor, you just monitor the instance. But how do you monitor if it is a very cloud native environment, like you don't know how many pods you will be running, or how many containers you will be running, or if there are like tens and thousands of upstreams and downstream components. So your architecture, right, it will scale wide and deep. So deep means whenever you see something in a dashboard or some PurePath or something, any tool, whatever tool you're using, right? You will see only the two-dimensional view, correct? You don't know what's going on beyond that two-dimensional view. So you need to, again, go behind the scenes and see how many systems we are running, how it scales, how it deeps inside the particular architecture, right? So that is where the observability, the framework comes into picture. So here, since everything is a cloud native, right? You need to have this kind of approach to monitor each and everything. Just by seeing the output, you can understand what's going on the inside. So that is why the term evolves, and a lot of vendors are there nowadays. Nowadays, all the APM tools becoming observability. And there are a lot of new players are there. You don't even know the name, actually. So when I was browsing yesterday, I saw about Cribble. There's a company called Cribble. And Observable. There's another company called Observable. Blameless. So there are so many small vendors are playing in the observability market. And again, we have big shots like Dynatrace, Neuralink, Splunk, Datadog. So these are again well-established observability platforms. And Lightstep, I don't know how many of you heard about Lightstep, Lightrun, and we have Honeycomb, right? So again, these are so many vendors in the observability stack. And there is an excellent blog is available. I will post all the links, whichever I'm mentioning, right? I will post it in the YouTube video. So there is a person called Ben. He is the co-founder of Lightstep. So he was working for Google. He created a system called Dapper. I don't know how many of you know this, Dapper. So Dapper, again, is created for Google to monitor the performance of the architecture of their environment. So they have a particular term called distributed tracing. So these are some buzzwords you will hear, right? Distributed tracing, and then open telemetry, open census, open tracing. So these are again buzzwords of observability. So again, you would have heard three pillars of observability, right? Do you know what is the three pillars of observability? Anyone? Three pillars of observability. Again, this is a debatable topic. Some industry leaders say by using three pillars, you cannot observe everything. There is a problem in these three pillars, so we have to go beyond these three pillars. But in the initial days, the marketing term for any vendor is these three pillars, which is metric, logs, and traces. So by using these three stuffs, we can observe our entire platform. So, but there are industry leaders who disagree with this. Metrics, logs, traces is not sufficient enough to observe any platform. So we need to go beyond that. So there are different approaches, different views coming from different various industry leaders. So you have to go through a lot of use cases or a lot of blog articles to understand what's going on in this industry, the observability industry. Because as a performance engineer, we cannot just sit and run the test and open some dashboard and give our results. So it will not going to work in future. So we need to, this is the time you need to start more into observability. So you have to understand how internal system works by seeing from the outside, right? And you need to learn a couple of basic tools like Jaeger or Dapper or Zipkin. So these are the very legacy, I can say, the beginning of observability, right? So these are the tools were created by multiple companies, Uber, Twitter, Google. So these companies created many open source projects to understand their cloud native architecture. So you have to start learning at least the what is distributed tracing, how it works, how we can inject this in a legacy system or in a new system, how we can inject as a code. So what kind of framework we are going to adopt. So again, there are various frameworks in the observability stack. So one popular standard is open telemetry. Again, it's not a standard, but people follow this open telemetry framework. So if you go to opentelemetry.io, you can see what is OpenTelemetry and what languages it supports. It integrates with what framework, etc. You can see. So this particular Open Telemetry was formed combination of two things. One is Open Census and Open Tracing. So there are two different entities. One is from Google. I think one is from other company. I forgot. It is Uber or Twitter. I don't know. So these two things were independently working, I think about a couple of years ago. Then since the objective is same, it's very similar, then they merged it together to form Open Telemetry. So now if you want to adopt the observability, then you have to adopt this framework, Open Telemetry framework. So it supports various languages. Then you can use the tools or Dynatrace or New Relic, whatever tool you are using. Then you can see the output in the graphs. So Dynatrace, by default, I have seen the distributed tracing in my environment. I'm not sure how it works in other environment, but yeah, Dynatrace started tracing everything so that you can have a clear picture. So I think the case should be same with respect to New Relic or Datadog or whatever it is. So all the APM tools have now focusing on observability. So any questions, guys, till now? I know there are a lot of information to process, but this is our starting point to discuss further. Let me admit a few folks. Hi,
Yeah.
Deepak. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. This is my first meeting here. So I'm here in Los Angeles. My small thought after hearing, and I may be wrong, but that small thought, I guess, yeah, you wonderfully explained a lot of things. What we can do is a little bit dwell deep into, like, in your environment, what was your observation, what value you could get from the tool. So learning about, 100 tools is all, it's good, but I think we can we can delve into a little bit more into the tool aspects and what value it gives. I think that will be can be helpful. Yeah.
Yes, Deepak. So usually, right, I don't learn a tool. I never learn a tool because tool learning is you are contained to one tool. So we have to learn the concept, right? Even I train many people in performance testing engineering, right? I always tell, okay, don't learn JMeter, don't learn load runner. Just learn the concepts behind each feature. Then the rest everything will be same across the tools. For example, if you take data parameterization, so it is approach might be the different. We use CSV dataset config in JMeter. So we use a DAT file in load runner, but the concept is still the same. So by learning one thing, you can learn multiple tools if you understand the concept. The same holds good for any approach, right? For example, if you want to learn observability, so instead of learning Jaeger or Dynatrace or say OpenZipkin, so you can learn, okay, how tracing works. So basically, what is tracing? Okay, using the tracing ID, how I can go deep into my architecture and see what's going on in my layer. So we have to learn that concept. If you learn that one, then rest of the tools, almost all the tools are similar by implementing this tracing concept. Okay, so I have posted a couple of videos about this tracing, how tracing works, and how we can see each tracing, the span, and what is span again, and how we can fix the issue by just tracing the request. So you can check it out. I don't know, you seen my channel, QA Insights. You can just go to my YouTube channel and you can see, I think I have posted about Instana, IBM Instana, Jaeger, and Signos. So these three tools I have posted. Many tools I am planning to post eventually.
Naveen,
helpful
on the open.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks, Naveen.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak. Yes, Arun.
Naveen, on the open telemetry, I can understand, like, it is a technology or inbuilt mechanism to which all the APM tools are having. So what is the exact need for us to understand that that mechanism, that technology? So we have the tool, and we are finding the bottlenecks. So what is the real need for us to get deep into their algorithm and their technology to trace the issues?
No, what do you mean their algorithm? Could you please explain on that?
So for example, you say Splunk. Say Splunk is using OpenTelemetry inside that as a technology to to trace and show us the logs, everything. So it is doing by itself. So what is the need for us to understand what is happening inside Splunk and everything? So can we
I'm not
manage
saying
without,
what I'm not saying what you should learn what is happening inside the Splunk stuff. So I'm just saying you need to learn this distributed tracing and open telemetry, how the framework works. So this will be helpful to trace your request and see what's going on in your application, and this will be helpful to fix your performance issues.
Okay.
So Naveen, okay, sorry to. Oh, okay, go ahead. I don't.
That's it. That is so. Maybe Naveen, maybe once we learn more about it, maybe I can understand it properly.
Yeah, we can discuss
now
further.
I'm very intrigued stage. Yeah, right. So this is very, too early to talk very deep into this.
Yes, Deepak.
So see, Clubhouse is such a thing. Again, I'm new to your room. I think you mentioned there are 8 sessions already. So pardon my ignorance.
13.
But
13.
oh, 13. Okay, good. So so I'm hiking actually on a trail, so a little panting. So
No problem.
What I mean is the level, right, of audience, skill level can vary. So
Correct.
I don't know how you want to cater one area. Like for me, right, like I'm heading a team, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Everyone is learning in this world, be the head or be the beginner. So I'm skilled in some area which other guys may not, right? I've gained my knowledge from my experience. So what I want to say is, I don't know, how do you cover the basics? So someone wants to see the tracing aspect, right? What exactly tracing we are talking about? As you mentioned, a request, right? Tracing. Now, I mean, what are we talking? Dwell a little deeper into that, right? Give an example. I mean, that's one way for someone who's new to this topic. So that's my small thought there.
Yes, everyone is learning. Even I'm also learning. Deepak. Excuse me. Yeah, even I'm also learning. This observability topic is kind of a new from past 6 months. I've been into this. So I'm working on various tools. I'm exploring various things. So I'm just trying to get started with this topic as a first thing, so that eventually we will conduct more sessions on deep diving into this observability.
Yeah, that can be very helpful because, as you yourself said, like tools, there can be 100 tools. For us, just one tool, I mean, or the concept, right? We need to understand what do we mean by tracing? What do we mean by tracing and web request? I mean, digging deeper, right? That's the understanding probably. Yeah.
Yes, we are going to see eventually everything about this observability. This is the first session we have been started with respect to observability platform.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Good initiative. Yeah.
Hi, Sid. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Naveen. I was in the meeting, but I was in listeners. Keep on listening. So, yeah.
So, any inputs from your side, Sid, on observability? Which platform you guys are using or getting?
I think yes, same thing. You have covered everything except different tools and everything. Yeah, and one input I would like to give, like yesterday or day before yesterday, I have attended Value Labs session for SREs. So there I have directly asked this question. So what is so now you people are saying everything is observability and cloud and everything, right? SREs. So what is the role of our performance engineers? So straight question I shooted, and I have also asked one more question, like what are the skill sets we need to develop? So I think you have answered the skill sets about topic long back. Any scripting language like that would be fine. That's what they said, and little bit knowledge about not in-depth knowledge, but you should have the good knowledge about what is a cloud and containers, where your architecture is deploying is. I mean, what are the microservices, this and all. Yes, and they covered this topic, observability. So as a performance engineer, you need to involve that part. That information I have got from day before yesterday meeting, Naveen. And it's really thanks you are giving. You have taken an initiative to introduce observability. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks, Sid. Yes. So even for me, we just started embracing the Dynatrace feature, right? Open that tracing mechanism. So we just implemented around 6 months ago. I've been working on that. And yes, so any tool, whenever we have a tracing, so tracing means it is like a following the path of your HTTP request, starting from browser to backend, and again from the backend to the browser. So for each hop, each layer, you will see what's going on. And for each layer, again, you will get the response time. So that is called span. So span is like a unit of work. So that span will might cross multiple layers or might be contained into one layer. And by seeing this tracing chart, you can see how long it is spending in each layer for your request. So there's a very high level overview about the tracing mechanism.
One question. How you're injecting this in our life cycle? Like it could be agile or waterfall performance engineering, or agile in performance. How we are? Two separate entities, or you're merging with in your performance engineering?
So my project is agile anyway. So agile methodology, the Dynatrace library, right? Whatever agent we install. So that has a automatic capability which will inject the code for tracing, because they follow the standard of that framework, Open Telemetry. So again, if it is a very legacy system, again, you may not be able to inject as a code. So then you need to rely on your agents, whichever agent you are going to install. Or otherwise, you can ask development team to code for tracing manually by leveraging the standard libraries like Python or Go, whatever language you are using. So we need to write the Open Telemetry where you want to capture the span. So you have to write it manually so that it will appear in your dashboard. For legacy systems, people use agents.
Now it's more clear. I was under assumption that it's a separate entity. So as part of what we are doing, like performance engineering and monitoring and everything, so we need to same tools we can utilize, and some extra code need to be injected as part of the observability. That's what, right?
Correct. So there are a couple of yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Naveen. So I believe they do also observability. If I'm not wrong, in the prod also, infrastructure team, they will be monitoring the performance of the app or microservices, everything. If I'm not wrong, they're following with this term, right?
Yes, in production, yes, mainly production, yes.
Yeah.
So even Grafana, right? Grafana is the observability platform. So even if you open grafana.com, they have changed the terms they use for marketing purpose or just to advertise, right? So now it is a observability platform. Grafana is an observability platform.
Okay. Yeah. Now that makes more clear. Naveen, thanks for that. Now the clouds are clear. Yeah.
So you are using Grafana, but you don't know where it's observability. So many of us doesn't know about that, what feature that particular tool or solution has. So we have to embrace that the features they are bringing to the product. So Grafana is conducting they are conducting a conference, I think next month. I think it is called Observability Con, October first week or so. So again, you can register for that, and then you can get more information about this observability. So I also submitted one talk for that conference, so it is not yet accepted. Yeah, once it is accepted, I'm going to talk about JMeter and how you can put the observability stack, how we can bring that observability stack by combining with the JMeter.
So practically, have you started, right? And I mean, you said 6 months. You started using this observability.
Yes, using Dynatrace. Yes.
Yeah. So if you could get anytime some good example in your blog or anything, or
yes. So Dynatrace is very simple because of an agent. The implementation is kind of very simple. But again, it depends on your architecture. If it is a very legacy, you need to rely on agent. If it's very modern, then you have to put it some code. But again, the unit trace automatically gives you the picture of the distributed tracing. So Datadog, I think someone is using Datadog. So how is Datadog works? Any inputs from that, Archon? I think you are there still, I guess. I think he left, I guess. Okay. I think we joined, I guess Shravanti is there. Hi, Shravanti. Hi, Sunil. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, hi, Navin. So, just had few clarification. So, when we say distributed tracing, right? What I've seen from Grafana is like we are plotting charts for CPU memory and other things. So, how do we say like Grafana is a observability tool?
You have to embrace that open telemetry framework in your infrastructure. So if you have that open telemetry framework embedded, then you can see the tracing information in Grafana dashboard.
Okay, so again, we are going to bring the observations as a charts, right?
No, the tracing, I'm talking about tracing, not the charts or graphs.
Okay.
So the tracing.
So how do we use the tracing then?
So if you have a tracing capability embedded in your infrastructure, for example, you have an app web layer or app layer, and you have enabled the, say, you have a tracing feature, right? So if you open Grafana, you can clearly see, if you search for, I'm not sure about the dashboard name, so, but there is a section where you can add the panel to view the tracing, the bar charts. Okay. So if you open that, you can clearly see for the particular request, how your request is traveling across multiple hops. And then for each hop, what is the response time and what is the code of execution.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm using like a Dynatrace. So how to know like distributed tracing is enabled in that?
Okay. So if you open PurePath, any PurePath, right? Okay. If you open the PurePath page, at the top right, you can see the tracing ID. Okay. So each PurePath will have a unique trace ID. So that is the unique identifier to identify your tracing for the particular request.
Okay. You mean the client identifier or tracing identifier is different?
No, the name itself, the tracing ID colon and some unique random number will be there. Random string will be there. Okay. If that is there, then the tracing has been enabled. Open tracing is there for your infrastructure.
Okay. So when we say APM tool and observability, right? So APM tool, how do we like differentiate that? Both are taking the end-to-end timings, right? From starting from client side, server, everything till database, everything is taken there.
No. There's a difference between APM and observability. So, for example, right, last week I have told you. So, for example, you are going to participate in a race, then you want to measure your performance, right, your stamina. So, what you do is you go to doctor or you will run it in a treadmill and people take measurements, right? So, heart rate, blood pressure, and what's your height, weight, everything, right? So, they started monitoring your, say, heart rate, for example, heart rate or blood pressure. So they just put some graph or chart, they just monitor your body vitals. But after a few minutes, say your heart rate is increasing, blood pressure is increasing. So the observability platform, right, it will say why it is increasing. It will give you a clear picture, okay, why my heart rate is increasing, why my blood pressure is increasing. But monitoring tool will say what is the heart rate, what is the blood pressure. So the why part, the observability platform will be able to help you to deep dive. Because of cloud native environment. So it is not a legacy. It's not a 2-tier or 3-tier architecture. Your environment, right, it will scale deep. You may not know when it will scale in, when it will scale out. So in that case, by just simply embracing the APM capability, you cannot observe your internal systems, how it is behaving. So you need observability stack and you need to embrace the open telemetry standards to make use of distributed tracing. And then you can view your dashboard, okay, If something moves down or moves up, we can easily deep dive into the particular area. Okay, mainly because of cloud native only this term has evolved. So if we don't have cloud native, then there is no observability. Because
okay, so maybe if I go through your videos, I will get a better idea.
Yes, so you do not know when your pods will scale up, when your pods will scale down, right? You do not know, and simply by logging the information again, you will get millions of records in 1 minute. You will get millions of records. So how do you slice and dice the records? It is not possible. It is possible, but it will take time. By the time your production failure will expand its radius, and it will be total time. The total zone will be dead. So that is why we need this kind of mechanism to see what's going on.
Hey Navin, Sid here. So
Hi,
let me put. I have a live example with me, which what I'm working now.
Yes.
But we are not implemented that observability though. But what? So like I said, I'm working on microservices. So I think what I'm doing in manually to deep dive, which is covered by observability. That's what I feel. So my microservices, it will interact with several backend microservices. So I could able to say my app is very good after doing performance testing, and one of the response time, if I want to backtrace it, the max response time. So when I said backend microservices, other microservices team, so your microservices is causing problem by tracing that transaction, they said no, ours is good. So I think this kind of situation in the cloud will be avoided by availability, traceability, and observability, I guess. Trust me, we have worked we had a fight for 1 week against all the different microservices team. My microservice is good, my microservice is good. So ours is scaling good, ours is scaling good. I think this kind of situation, ad hoc situation and chaos situation will be observed by observability.
Sid, can you elaborate when this microservice, because I'm very interested in microservice.
What is it? What is your question, Deepak? Hello.
I think he's asking about the microservices, about your microservices.
So in the microservices, Deepak, we test performance of the app performance, not so microservices kind of, it's a widget. It's not completely app. So if you have 100 features, if you want to make one important feature as a microservice and put it in your widget, like what you put your widget in your phone, so microservices will be deployed and shared across the requested other clients or apps or microservices which will be utilizing this widget. So in that scenario, so we could able to say only, see, my microservices per app performance is good. So when it deployed for the 2 or 3 instances in the cloud, so it will work fine. But there will be a situation. So let's say next quarter there are too many microservices. 2 other microservices came and they started utilizing your widget. So in this complicated scenario, if at all any single microservices or any single transaction is taking more response time, like more causing potential problem, like Navin mentioned. So if you want to trace that one, so you have to deep dive into your microservices as well as other backend microservices which is interacting and other microservices which is consuming this microservice. So in this kind of complication situation, so I think observability will play a critical role. So that will have more picture when you have complicated microservices interacting each other. So that's what I was giving example here, Deepak. Hope you understand.
So basically, there are a lot of upstreams and downstreams, correct, Sid, for in your case?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, then you need to have the observability. Otherwise, you cannot drill down where the performance is.
There was a situation. Yeah. So there was each microservices there will be separate development team and separate other teams, right? POs and BAs. So they were fighting. Our microservice is good. Our is not causing any issue. Ours is not causing. So it is like you have to test yours, and you have to know which are the services utilizing your microservices, and what are the microservices you are using. So those kind of complicated architecture in cloud, this observability definitely will help. I'm just curious. So I would like to see one example.
So basically, it will bring a holistic view of your request.
Yes.
Everything in one view, so that we can see what's going on.
Yes.
I mean, my thought is, sorry, my connection, I'm in mountain. So, but anyway, contract testing, that can also work. I somehow suspect like only trace routing and this is the only solution, right? How about contract testing? Because that also at a unit layer, you can test from one service interaction to the other, right?
The contract testing is how many layers you can contract testing, Deepak? 2 or 3, right, maximum. But in case if you have an enterprise system like a payment gateway, it talks to multiple layers. Third-party layers might be there. Third-party, again, internal layers also might be there. So how do you interact with these many layers? It will be n layer, right? You cannot predict the layer. Like, for example, I want to apply for a credit card, right? So credit card application, again, it will go even the crime information, crime database, your motor vehicle database. So it talks to multiple database in the backend. Everything is third-party call.
Right. So tell me, if there are so many, like in a big architecture, right, so many microservices, this distributed tracing will help in identifying the particular one of the microservice, which is a culprit. It can identify?
Yes. Yeah, you can drill down to the root cause. That's what I'm saying. Easily.
So sounds like Deepak, like enhancement for monitoring. So whatever after taking the monitoring, right? So you deep dive and you observe all the backends and front ends and middle layers, right? That's what observability come into picture, and it will give you. So it will make your job easy whenever the complicated object. Yes, like Naveen said earlier. So if it's a monolithic, single application test, web tier, application tier, and DB tier, so it is easy to trace it. When it's a cloud and architecture, microservice architecture, so it's like the bubbles at heaps are linked list, the traverse. So it will back traverse and it will find out routes and it will highlight. That's what I understood by Naveen's explanation. Right, Naveen?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. Yeah, if it is a very 3-tier architecture, yes, monitoring. If it is a cloud native, it should be observability.
Naveen, so what I have to say here is I am also working on microservices and those are deployed on AWS and basically on the Kubernetes pods. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to generate load from JMeter, and then I'm trying to test the microservices, and I have the data coming in on Kibana. Okay, so I'm trying to understand if the observability is something which Kibana also supports. If yes, then I would like to get more information about that, because right now, if I want to track down to multiple layers of those microservices, because it's like I am calling from let's say an AWS EC2 instance, and then it's going to the microservices, then it's going to a third party vendor, and then it's coming back again from there. So if I want to drill down based on all those network layers along with those each components, then observability would be the best part, and that would help me to get all the stats on one single instance instead of going to each system and getting those details. So Naveen, what's your take on this? Like, do we have that observability feature in Kibana as well?
whatever tool you're working, right? Nowadays,
Yeah.
all the vendors, they moved to observability term. The market term is observability now. Okay. I have not worked in Kibana, but I use Kibana only for log analytics. Okay. So logging is a one pillar of observability. Okay. You by logs, by slicing and dicing, again, you can deep dive into where the issue is. So that is a one part of observability. So yes, of course, then Kibana, yes, then I would say it supports the tracing mechanism.
Okay, but as you mentioned that Grafana has that ability to trace down the logs based on the trace ID. Do we have that feature like in Kibana? Yeah, because in Kibana we just log everything, right? So in I'm not quite sure if that capability we'll have that in Kibana.
Kibana, I think it should support. You can just check it out in the documentation. That's what, right? Nowadays, everything is observability. Definitely, Kibana Elastic company is one of the pioneer, right? So definitely, they would have embraced this open tracing mechanism.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Naveen.
Yeah, someone asked Grafana, right? Grafana.
Kunal,
Yeah, one moment.
Kunal, for you.
So someone asked Grafana, right? So Grafana has again a separate product for tracing. It is called Tempo. So Grafana Tempo, again, it's a massively scaled distributed tracing system where you can trace your requests and then you can view it in your Grafana dashboard. So you have to use Grafana Tempo for that.
Okay.
Yes, Arun, you can go ahead.
Krunal, for your point, for your topic, so you said Kibana, right? I think it should be a package, ELK, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So if you combine all the three items, then you see full observability is enabled, right? So maybe with Kibana alone, there might be some misses. But
yeah, so,
I think
so I'm already using Elasticsearch as well. So it's a combination. I'm not using Logstash because I know that the data is coming from just one system. So it's just Elasticsearch and Kibana which I'm using to get my performance testing stats of the test which I run in JMeter.
So it should be a package, to my knowledge, and definitely if the three are enabled, then basically Naveen started with the three basic pillars, right? So all the three does all the three functions. So definitely it is one of the best example. We can say Kibana ELK as the best example for observability tool.
Yeah. So Krunal, I just did a quick search. Yeah, sorry, Arun. Yeah, I just did a quick search. Yes, Elastic supports distributed tracing. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll have to take a look and see how I can enable that so that it will make my life easy.
Yes, there are manually you can enable tracing by embedding the framework you are using, or you can enable the automated distributed tracing.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Naveen.
Yeah, thank you. Shravanti, it's your turn now to speak. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I've been waiting actually. Yeah, I think most of the points were covered. So I wanted to stress upon more, like as you have already stated, now that it's more of cloud native applications wherein containers are all gaining a lot of popularity. That's where observability is really gaining prominence. Because recently I've started exploring more on Kubernetes, and we are giving a webinar soon. And I'm working on containerized applications actually. So we are coming up with strategy, what could be the best strategy from a performance testing and engineering perspective. So yeah, few learnings which I had were like with Kubernetes especially, or with any containerized environments, it's not, the applications or the components are not available throughout. Even when you're testing, you are not sure whether your pods exist, as you stated already, Naveen. Like due to auto scaling feature, it has its benefits that there won't be any deployment issues and all of that are not there, but it has its own challenges from a performance testing and monitoring perspective. Like you don't know whether the components exist after your completion of the test. So that's where the challenge comes in, and that's where monitoring APM tools alone wouldn't suffice. You definitely need to have observability tools in place. And yeah, we are using couple of tools like Prometheus, Grafana is one thing, and Fluentd also we've started exploring these days. And yeah, New Relic is one. I think that was the first, almost like couple of years back. It started with open telemetry amongst all the APM tools. So that's where we are exploring further, and yeah, it's helping out. I mean, in the sense like with APM tools, you really cannot get to a last mile deep dive of where exactly the problem is. When you have these all the logs, observability essentially implies like you're tracing, as you were stating, and collecting different logs and metrics of your pods, what is the CPU utilization on your pods which no longer exists, and how was the performance when it's being auto scaling, scale up and scale down. All those would help you correlate on the overall performance. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, thanks, Shravanti. I think your webinar is next week, right?
Yeah, it's on 16th.
16th. Yeah,
so all of you, if you can participate, please join. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely, I will join.
Yeah.
Hey, Naveen. I have a question for Shravanti. So
yeah,
you're talking about Prometheus Grafana, right? So
right.
Does it have the feature of availability? I mean, observability?
Yes, Prometheus is actually only for the logs collection. We are using Grafana. So yes, Grafana is now being more projected like a observability tool and all of that. It's
so before Prometheus,
yeah.
You don't have any log to mechanical tool like Splunk or something?
Yeah, as I stated, it's like Splunk is all in our current project. We don't have Splunk, but yeah, I see Splunk is also has got observability features, and in our current setup, we are leveraging New Relic plus these additional tools.
Yeah. So why I'm asking so many questions, because in the Kubernetes we are moving from as of now we are using AppD and Splunk. So this the proposal came to move towards Prometheus Grafana. So I was asking. Thanks.
Yeah, due to Prometheus, it's like especially it's suited for this CN. It's a graduated project from CNCF. It's like approved actually by CNCF for good monitoring features and all of that. So Fluentd is also gaining prominence these days.
So would you paste your webinar link to Naveen, so Naveen can publish here somewhere?
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Yes, yeah, I will post it in LinkedIn only today after the call.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Along with me, actually, Scott Moore, if most of you might be knowing, he is also co-presenting with me, actually.
Scott Moore?
Oh. Yeah. So he's the director of Tricentis, correct?
Right, yeah.
He moved to Tricentis, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one more feature, sorry.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually one more feature, if most of you are aware of it or no, I don't know, but even the load testing tools, they are coming up with containerized load generation infrastructure. Neoload has it currently, wherein they are allowing a feature wherein you can spin up. It's like you have to allow your Kubernetes cluster as an input, and then it automatically spins up, and after a completion of test, it scales down, shuts them down as well. So it's like
you mean the load generator part?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it supports Kubernetes and OpenShift both. Correct?
Yeah. Correct. Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. And actually, I forgot to tell another point about this open telemetry. So open telemetry is a vendor agnostic. So basically, if you are working in a Dynatrace and you are going to move to New Relic, then it doesn't impact your open telemetry framework. So that is the main reason they created this open telemetry by combining open sensors and open tracing. So if you adopt open telemetry in your project, then you are good because it's vendor agnostic. So no need to worry about which vendor you are going to use or which vendor is using right now. So that headache is gone. So no more problem about the vendors. This is also another advantage of using open telemetry. So it works for any vendors. So you can check it out, all the information in opentelemetry.io website. So they clearly mentioned it is a vendor agnostic instrumentation, supports both automatic and manual tracing. Okay, any other point, topic to touch? Any questions?
Hi Naveen. Actually, I just wanted to understand that as Shravanti also mentioned that she's using Prometheus for collecting the data, and I even myself have used New Relic and as well as the Dynatrace by using the pure part to observe the things. But over here, just I wanted to know, like, if at this containers or anything, like even a services is getting invoked, like we have now Google supports different kinds of service based calls where we can enhance our UIs and everything from the third party correlation. So when they are getting spinned up at the runtime, how they are getting collected in our current monitoring perspectives. Like suppose I'm using a Docker, very basic example, that is like I'm using a Docker container using a JMeter to generate my load. And at the runtime, there on the backend side, there are two more containers in the same infrastructure has been initiated from the backend. So how I'm going to track that thing in my monitoring aspects?
You're talking about monitoring, right? Not observability.
Yeah, see, observability, basically what I sum up, like I was just quiet for a long time because I was just trying to understand that what you guys from the observability point of view are talking about. So that I have also achieved in one of my projects using the pure path, where I can trace to the end and identify that which particular component or a code piece. Like we were having different components over there, as you just mentioned for the bank application. So there were we were having an issue and we wanted to rectify it out. So that point of observability, I've done it out. But I wanted to understand that when these things are happening in new kind of an environment like containerizations applications, how we are solving that issue at the runtime.
So you're talking about any specific tool or generally you're asking?
I'm on a general perspective. I wanted to understand this.
See, Docker is running on some host, correct?
Yeah.
It should run somewhere, right? In some machine, right?
Yeah.
So that machine should have the agent or that instrumentation capability so that it will push the metrics to the dashboard. Okay. But if the host is spinning on the fly, then you need to have embrace this the OpenTelemetry or the framework so that you can trace everything in your infrastructure.
Okay, so in that means I have to go through that first OpenTelemetry, then I'll able to understand it better. Thank you for that.
Yes, because it uses again there are a lot of technologies like a service mesh, right, where it will look out for it will manage all your networking related stuff. So again. So there are a lot of, it's a complex. If you go deep, right, it will be very complex. So that is why we should have one solution to observe the entire stack.
Okay. So that I can achieve it out with the Dynatrace, right? And with the help of PurePath.
No, that's what I'm saying. It is that's if the infrastructure is scaling in and out dynamically, then the old APM tools, right, it cannot identify your performance.
But these APM tools are coming with the distributed tracking, right?
Yes.
Like the new
now it is
I'm
coming,
using
yes.
it.
Yes, nowadays it is coming with distributed tracing. It will capture everything, but I'm talking about again 5-7 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for that. I actually started a couple of years back only, so whatever things I've learned, I just trying to understand with that base. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, nowadays, yes, you can see the tracing ID in your Dynatrace dashboard.
Yeah.
Sudhakar, you were about to tell something.
No. Actually, this telemetry will work with Grafana.
Yes, Tempo, right? Grafana Tempo. Again, it is for tracing. So it will store your logs, it will store your tracing ID, and then it will display the span details.
Okay, Grafana Tempo.
Yeah, Tempo, yes. So, I mean, again, it is very expensive. Again, I'm saying because the logging, right? Logging is very expensive. So don't think, okay, I have everything, then I'm good. No, you have to see the budget also. Because the observability stack, again, depends on what data you're storing and how long you are storing and what is the resolution. So it is a 1 second resolution. Again, you will have a lot of logs. It is a 5 second resolution. You have limited logs. So again, you need to see how many requests you are getting, how many layers I have, how many calls, and per month. Then how many gigabytes you are storing, I mean terabytes, right? So again, you have to increase the budget. So when you adopt this kind of framework, again, you need to allocate the relevant budget in your for your infrastructure. So it is not like I have observability, I have open telemetry, I'm good. No. So again, there are a lot of tools which is optimizing nowadays. Again, there are a lot of vendors, they are popping up every day. I have seen like Cribble, right? Cribble, CRIBL. So they talk about the data part. And we have again Observe. There's a company called Observe. So again, they optimize this particular logging. So we have to deep dive into this zone. You will get a lot of information. So it is very expensive to store log. It's very, very expensive.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think one of the blog I have mentioned, I have read what is the solution to this. And one of the reputed industry leader, he told that don't log anything. Right? So again, there are pros and cons of logs. So you have to optimize your needs. So which component you are going to enable logging, which component you don't want. So you have to come up, okay, which part is facing more issues in production. So you have to run some POC in production, then you have to see what is a good strategy for this observability.
Okay.
Let me admit Rakesh. Hey Rakesh.
Hi,
Hey,
thanks,
for
Naveen.
joining.
Thank you. Naveen, regarding this observability, I've just been listening for a few minutes. Is it same as a log monitoring tool or is it something totally different? And if it is
Log
a
is
log monitoring tool, is it something like, tech leads who are going to suggest like, or generally the organization level, something that are going to be in place, right? Like, then we can leverage whatever that's there in the organization, right?
log is just one aspect of observability, Rakesh. So it will just a one pillar of observability. Okay, so we have metrics and traces, and there are industry leaders who propose a different approach, right? So log is just one aspect of observability. Okay, so you need various parameters to build this stack for you. Just by seeing logs, you cannot fix the issue because logs are millions, billions, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously, like, once you get into it, you will, filter it on based on whatever the requirements you have.
Yeah, we can say filter, but again, filtering also, right? Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't used Grafana or any other tool. I've used Login Site and Kibana, Elasticsearch. I'm not sure
Kibana,
whether those comes under observability or just the
Yes, Kibana has observability capability. Yes.
Okay.
But again, you have to bring multiple metrics. You have to bring the tracing. Then you will have the observability stack in Kibana.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. ELK stack, right? ELK stack. So
ELK stack. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to bring the distributed tracing. So if you bring that feature, again you will get the observability.
Hey Naveen. I have a final question saying that to have this observability feature, use your Dynatrace and whatever the tools they are offering this observability feature. Are they charging extra? Like whatever they are charging on Dynatrace, if it's Dynatrace is going to provide observability, so are they going to charge extra for organization? That is also matters, right? If we suggest simply, so
yes, because you are going to store a lot of data, right? So definitely there will be increase in logging capability. But especially for observability, I don't know about pricing. Maybe we have to check it out. But Dynatrace is expensive in general.
See, simply if we propose something, so definitely the second question will come to us. So we need to have a feature. What is the cost effective of that? Like, right? So
correct. Yeah, it says observability for cloud. Yeah, it supports. It starts with $21 per month for 8 GB per host.
Oh, okay.
$21. Full stack monitoring, $69 per month for 8 GB per host. So it is per host everything. So if you have 1,000 hosts, multiply by 1,000.
So if I'm not wrong, this APM tools and log tools, they themselves itself coming with these observability features to the clients, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can embrace that open telemetry library, and then you can embed this, and then you can store on your own internal. You can build your own stack. If you don't want to go with any APM vendor or observability vendor.
Yeah, thanks, Navin. Yeah.
So last month I have attended one webinar called From Observe. So I was browsing through some LinkedIn, I guess, some advertisement pops up, and then I just registered for the webinar. So I go to Observe Inc. Okay, observability. The company name is itself Observe. So they have very good demo. Okay, what is the product about, and what problem they are solving when it comes to observability. So you can, I suggest you to go to the blog, or you can go to the videos in the YouTube channel also. So it's very informative. So not observability, again, it will not solve the problem. Again, you need to optimize the process of observability. So they talks about that and what is the product. It is not released yet. Actually, it is not generally available, their product. They're still in a stealth mode. But very soon they are going to release it to the public, general availability. So you can just check it out, observeinc.com. So I watched the demo. They said no need to do anything. So if you just install this Observe, it will do everything for you. So that's what the demo is. Yeah, that's what I saw the demo. Then I was doing school, and then I asked about stage environment. They told no, we have not explored the lower environments, like no, only production. And I asked some questions again. They don't have answers. They told we are still evolving. Eventually, we will publish everything in official documentation.
Yeah.
So they use, I think, a Snowflake. Snowflake, where they store lots of data, and then it will retrieve everything in very fast, very fast. The retrieval speed and zero maintenance. That's what they told, and it will scale automatically. So you can check it out at their website. Again, there are a lot of vendors. They are coming up. So if you attend the KubeCon, if you attend conferences like this, right? If you go to sponsors section, you can see around 50 plus companies right now in cloud environment. Everybody is mostly startups. So they solve a particular problem, and you can just learn about their solution. Okay. Any questions? So probably we have to schedule another session on this observability probably after a few weeks. From performance engineers perspective, okay, how we can embrace this technology, what things we have to learn, how we can implement. So those things probably we can talk about after a few weeks. Okay. So if we don't have any questions, then we can wind up. Thanks for joining, and have a good night then. The session will be available in YouTube. The session. I forgot to tell, the session is being recorded. Sorry, I should have informed you before itself. Yeah, the session is recorded. It will publish in YouTube channel. Please check it out. Thank you, guys, and have a good night.
Thank you, Navin. Thanks, all.
Thank you. Yes, bye.
Thanks, Navin. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.